the most exciting bit, whatever happens this summer, goes back to Friday the 13th, which is a bad omen for a lot of people, but one of the best days of the window, wasn't it? Because we got the dopamine hit. Fabrizio maybe or maybe didn't go a little bit early, but Ornstein Joyce, your big hitters, told us that Liverpool have got, as it says there on the screen, the verbal agreement with Bayer Leverkusen to sign Florian Wirtz. And the briefings from patch journos and the UK journos across the board were the same. 100 million guaranteed, 16 million in bonuses. Some, which could even involve a Champions League, could involve things like a Ballon d'Or being involved, but £116 million package potentially, and Florian Wirtz is coming to Liverpool. And since then, it's been exciting, isn't it? Because if you look at all the articles the journos have released, it's all like Louis Steele about his background, where he's come from. And brilliant to read, don't get me wrong, and hear about how we've beaten off Bayern, beaten off City. Real Madrid made a late inquiry that Florian Wirtz has picked us. And it's going to go again, because all the reports are that he's set to do a medical. He's going to end his holiday this week. And that means you think we'll get the photos of him landing. So your Biebers, your Adam Pease, get on standby. The interviews, the accent, we're going to get that hit again, fresh into the soul. It's going to be beautiful. But actually, the consideration for me right now is, where's he going to play? Where are we going to get the best out of Florian Wirtz? And that's what it's all about. Because you're not going to pay potentially 160 million quid and not make him absolutely key to Liverpool. For me, everything you fancy is largely going to go through him. And I know people will jump on this and say, whoa, Mo Salah. And I think that will be true. But if you look at Liverpool last season, there's that saying, in a team of 11, there's 8 to carry the piano and 3 to play it. And we know who the 3 were to play it. Ultimately, it was about last season, get the ball to Mo. That was the key tactic. It's not never that simple, but there's nothing wrong with putting it in that bracket. This season, you fancy, it's going to be get it to Salah or Wirtz. But a lot might go through Florian Wirtz. Of course it will, because he's an elite talent, and that's exciting. But the question on big decisions, where do you play him? Where do you get the best out of Florian Wirtz? How do you, maybe even more than the 16 goals and 15, 31 goal contributions in all competitions? Or if you talk about the big 2, as in when you're playing the Bundesliga and Champions League, how do you get 16 goals, 13 assists, 29 goal contributions, and more out of Florian Wirtz? Where do you play him so Salah flourishes even more? Where do you play him so it's a title-winning team again? This is the big debate. And people, and I've seen it, I bet you have, I've seen ventured forward the 10, the attacking midfielder role in the formation it is now. And funnily enough, that's what a lot of the media briefings have been. A lot of the patch journos have said that's come into the mix. The 10, if you want to call it that. I've seen left wing let him, and I have to be careful. No, I don't have to be careful. I think people listening should be careful. That's not a threat, by the way. But when I say left wing, people think, oh, we don't play left wing. He's not going to get the back. I'm not saying he's going to hit the byline. Not that type of left wing, but almost a Coutinho type who starts on the left but drifts in. And then the third one is the false 9. That's been ventured as well, hasn't it? And it's funny, I'm looking here. Stig there saying Wirtz can play the piano, carry the piano, then play it afterwards. So a 10. Yeah, that comes into the mix. Depends on the striker he wants, says the real Cal Jones. There's so much. For me, it is absolutely fascinating where he's going to play. And this will never be settled today, and they'll debate in the chat panel, which I don't mind as well. But if you go back a little to Leverkusen and where he's played their system, now under Xavi, completely different from Arne Slot. I get that. But Leverkusen have played for the last few years. We're changing personnel. Schick more this year than Boniface, but a 3-4-2-1. Frimpong being one of the wing backs in that scenario. So Wirtz was often, and it depends on your definition. I think it's semantics a little bit at times. In that two behind the front man, Schick this season. Often from the left side, starting there and picks it up in those pockets. And speaking to Bundesliga correspondents, they say the same, but obviously influencing the game in the middle. Now, for me, ultimately, you want to give him as much freedom as possible. Yeah? If he's going to be the lightning rod, the conductor, I don't want him chained, shall we say, to a position. But obviously, he's got to fit into a team at the same time. So I don't almost have, and I don't believe analysts and other people have got a perfect answer to this. And I'm going to explain why. And I'm going to call out two brilliant pieces if you've not seen them, by the way. I think in the great way at the moment, Liverpool content, the best it's ever been across the board. And in that saying, in a high tide, all boats rise. Honestly, we are just blessed as fans with the fan content. And shout out to Josh Williams on this and the rap, who did a little bit of how he sees Florian Wirtz as a false nine and talked about the box four and the importance of that. And please, isn't me trying to minimize it. I would suggest you sort of watch it, listen to it, however you devour there. But this is a brilliant piece, I would say. The second one, and he's a big-headed git, so he annoys me at times, but he is Bob on the money, this. Sam Maguire did one for his Patron, which talks about a few different bits, how Wirtz could fit in. And again, a similarity given the freedom. But almost the way Sam did it, talked about Florian Wirtz almost starting from the left and coming in a la Coutinho with Kirkes bombing on. They're both brilliant pieces and they're brilliant analysts in different ways, Josh and Sam, the way they break it down. So I would honestly recommend looking, watching, however you devour your medium that way. I'm going to just basically steal and amend a little bit, because nothing wrong with that. It's all just opinions, in it. I don't think either is wrong or right. I actually think you will see a bit of both. I love the idea of Florian Wirtz starting on the left, cutting in. I love the idea there of Kirkes just Roadrunner bombing on as well. Love that. Don't mind the idea of him as a false nine. I don't. My only worry is there, and you see it on almost this diagram, which is a bit limited. Gakpo he's not, we say winger, he's not a hit the byline very often. He's a cut in the shot. You know what Gakpo does. It's almost like the other side of Robben, Novocaine, just time and time again, the same thing works. So I don't mind the idea of Wirtz in that way. What I also love the idea of is that I was throw the blanket and you would change them a bit, but Mac, Grab, Szoboszlai and Wirtz being that box four and away at somewhere like Manchester City, where you've got to win that midfield battle. A bit like last season. Yes, I appreciate it was almost Diaz and Szoboszlai playing as almost two false nines at times, gave us that. And Curtis Jones at times as well in the way it's constructed. But anyway, the box four idea, I love that control element as well. But then there's a challenge on both sides because there ain't always a perfect answer. If Wirtz is your false nine, dropping deep a little bit, and I know people will start saying it if you were like, you need someone a nine to put the ball in the net, someone to mop up those chances. I'm not sure I see it that way, but I understand the point being made. I also wonder if Wirtz is a false nine. You think of someone like Jota, the off-the-ball demands, and I'm not saying Wirtz can't do this, by the way, but the off-the-ball demands of the pressing like Jota does and what Liverpool tried to get Núñez to do for a long time, I just think it throws up a lot of questions, as in, Is that getting the best out of Florian Wirtz? I don't know on that. Okay. Now, if it is a 10, as people talked about, and I've seen even a few say, oh, no 10s, Bosley will have to drop out. I don't think that happens at all. I think Arne Slot will have Dominic Szoboszlai in the team as an 8. I don't think for 1 second you want to give up Szoboszlai's running power. I don't think for 1 second you want to give up Szoboszlai's ability to cover, especially when Mo Salah is going to be in the team. And this isn't to be derogatory because he's my favourite player. I think he's the best player in the league and he should win the Ballon d'Or. But we know we don't give Salah many defensive responsibilities either, with we. So on the right, Szoboszlai is absolutely crucial for me in this. And I think maybe Vinicio is about to come to my summaries. He's put there, football intelligence is the key. Good management players solve problems on the pitch by identifying weaknesses in the opposition. Systems do need to be fluid. Absolutely. I don't think you will see Florian, personally, an analyst better than me have looked at this, that Florian Wirtz will just play in one position this season. I think you'll see games where he does start on the left and drift in, a la Coutinho, as Sam alluded to, with the likes of Kirkes bombing on. I do think it's very possible that something like a City away, you could see him as a false 9, dropping in to create that box 4, which, you know, he can do anyway a little bit, even on if he starts on the left side and drifts in. But I think that it would not surprise me at times at all if there's games where we have to break down a low block, if he is a 10 as well. I personally am excited to see him in all these positions. I mean, we've talked about this before on Anfield Index. It's just elite across the board. Whether you look at him as a forward, whether you look at him as an attacking midfielder from the left side. I'm excited. But what I would just say on this for people who are thinking, and I don't watch the Bundesliga week in, week out. That was my starting point. So I did a bit of digging, I did a bit of reading, spoke to a few of the Bundesliga correspondents that we know at Anfield Index as well, watched footage as well to try and piece it together, read and listened to the articles of people far more clued than me on the tactical output. But one of the big things I sort of came to was, for me, there's a bit of a lazy analysis just going, he's a 10. I think there's a lot more to Florian Wirtz's game than that. And genuinely honest, people, my honest big decision is this: to get the best out of Florian Wirtz, you put pace, work rate, and creativity around him. You don't give him a completely free role because obviously everything fits within a team structure, but you do what you can to get the most out of him. And that might be playing 3 different positions in different games this season. 8 to carry the piano, 3 to play it. Fuck me, we just got the German Mozart in our ranks. So I am so excited about this one.